What's the best way to be body positive?
Body positive?
Ooh,
Wait,
what
so
does that mean, though?
I know that there's a whole joke about it, but I don't really know what.
Is it like, honestly, I love the curves that you just put on.
Ooh, I have an answer.
So in the line of body positivity, in the scope, right? When you see these like a health magazine and the model's like 400 pounds and they're just all fat and they're just like body positive. Is that on this side of it or on this side?
I think
is that the
I think that's called
side?
tripping.
I think it's closer.
Okay, there you go.
Closer to the end.
But then there has to be like whereas that feels like it's an overshoot into the freaking cuckoo zone.
Yeah.
There's got to be like a good zone of being body positive.
I think it would be like, let's say you're 4'5".
4'5"?
Yeah, you're 4'5", right?
Okay.
So like you're like.
So we're gonna start crazy already.
So like, so the way I see body positivity is work with what you got.
Okay.
So like, you're 4'5" and it's pretty fucking hard to be 6 feet. It's pretty impossible,
Okay.
right?
yeah. You're like 2 feet short.
Because you could get the extended surgery, but that only adds like about 5 inches or some shit, right? That doesn't add much.
Maybe 3.
Slash it costs a lot.
So you're gonna go from 4'5" to 5 feet.
Okay.
That's a big deal for people at 4
That's
foot 5,
actually
by the
really
way.
nice,
That's
yeah.
huge. Anyways.
I don't think the surgery's that good.
But I get confused because I think like, so like I always see guys and girls kind of go back and forth at this, and I was like, they're talking about two different things when it comes to, one is like what is beauty standards or what is attractive, right? Guys are just basing it on like, is she hot or is she mateable? That's what guys are thinking. But I think from women, it's completely different. Like, it's a different rating system. Cause girls be gassing each other up like, yo, Lizzo's so hot. She has so much confidence. And then they have this running joke where it's like, but you call any girl Lizzo, they get mad. The same girl that goes,
but she's beautiful.
Lizzo's so confident, she's so hot. I love her fucking, you know. And then you go, yeah, and you look like her, and they'll be like, fuck you, right? And that confused the fuck out of me. And then like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I asked Hannah about this, right? And she was like, huh, women are looking at like what is an attractive trait, like different aspects of it. It's not just like the way men would see it is, would I just stick my dick in her? So it's a different criteria.
It's a package.
Hannah's very eloquent.
And I was like, okay, well, if you put it that way, that makes sense. But you know when you watch those shows, right, where girls are just getting fucking slam dunked on by like nerds?
Oh, like whatever podcast?
Yeah, like that, right? And I'm looking and I'm like, can't you see they're talking about two different things? Like the women are talking, like when they rate themselves, they're talking about how they feel about themselves.
Oh, like give yourself a score 1 to 10.
Right.
Yeah, and then there's this like
10,
right? Yeah. There's like a 10 out of 10, right? And then all the girls would be like, fuck yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah, right? And then the guys would just be like, are you fucking crazy? You're like a 3. And they're like, how dare you call me a 3?
You're right, they're talking about
But
two
I'm
different
like,
scales.
no,
Yeah.
He's saying, yeah, like, and then Hannah's like, they're not framing the question where the girls would understand it. She says that they need to frame it in the way where it's like, in today's beauty standards, to a male's attractivity, like to what the male sees, what on a scale from 1 to 10, how do you rate yourself?
And then you ask the question, what is that beauty standard? They list X, Y, and Z, and then you can scale it.
Right. But then the girls, if you just tell them on a rate from 1 to 10, what are you? And they're like, oh, I feel like a 10 because I have confidence and I'm not gonna put myself
Or
down.
they look at it like what I have to offer is a 10, like to your life.
Yeah. And then so I'm like, when these things come up, it's just they're not using the same ruler.
Yeah,
So the body positivity thing, I think it's the same thing. It's like people are, because it doesn't apply to guys, if you notice, right? You don't have the same body positivity for men. We don't get the same kind of fairness or the thing. But it's for women, and they're trying to celebrate from fat girls, short girls, dark girls, light girl, whatever.
Are they just trying to block depression? Is that what it is?
Block depression.
Because like you said, even in the Dove campaign or whatever, if you pick any one of the girls and you're like, oh, that looks like you, yeah, you're gonna get different lines of offense from different people. Like they're not gonna like that, but they are gonna tell you all of them are beautiful and they're all 10s. So that is true. Like
Right?
once you tell them that they look like that,
Yeah.
And I guess some of the
That's true.
some of the issues.
Completely diffuse that argument.
I didn't come up with that, but that's the whole Rep Pill guys, they came up with that shit, and I'm like, that's so funny. That's
That is
actually kind of
funny.
funny.
I think in our nation specifically, some of the issue comes from like what we promote, kind of like the idealism. It comes from representation. So like you go into like the Victoria's Secret's fashion show where it started having like, you know, not your typical like Victoria's Secret angels because they wanted to have representation, and then that ended up turning into like poor marketing and sales for like that quarter or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean, that line. And the idealism is that you want everybody to feel represented, but then there's the inverse of it where like Bart's saying that you're tripping if you put on like a women's health magazine or men's health somebody who's just full on obese because you want to be like body positivity, like embrace who and what you are, and you're like, well, the inverse is like that's poor health and you're probably going to have really, really bad health problems in the near future. And the second you say that this is okay is the second you let other people who feel represented by that feel like it's okay to stay in that like position of non-health. You know what I mean? So then it just is a question.
Representation is overcorrected.
Yeah, we also just need to think about what the idealisms are for like what we should have as a standard for ourselves. It's not to say, because it's also the other way around too, not just body positivity, but like, you know, like now every guy needs to feel like they need to have a fucking 8-pack. Otherwise, you're not like an attractive person.
You want to
Which is-
talk about fucking unrealistic? You want to talk about unrealistic fucking expectations? Look at a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
All guys we gotta look like that. Come on, man.
Yeah, so it's just everything's super extreme on both ends. And it's like the second we go back to maybe a more realistic place where people should feel like they need to be a little bit more healthy, and on the other side, people don't have to be superheroes. That might be a healthier society, but like because one side's too far here, one side's too far here, it becomes a polarizing issue in every context of conversation with different people having different measurements.
I think everything is like what you said about it's going to the extreme, right? So like there was a time when there was a beauty standard of, let's say, straight hair. So like black people would always flatten and straighten their hair because they feel like what they have naturally is ugly. There was that time and era, and now this might be the overcorrection of now I'm just gonna embrace the natural, right? But then it gets to the point of someone's obese, and that's unhealthy, and that's not natural to any race. But now they're a minority group, right? So then now they're like, well, I'm gonna embrace what I am. But then that's going too far.
It's like, no, you're using it as an excuse.
Yeah.
To make a change.
Yeah. I think that's when body positivity gets, cause like, let's say if there was a time when Asian features were not the thing, like whatever, right? And then like let's say K-pop gets really popular, now Asian features are. But before that, like let's say people that had Asian features would be like, man, I wish I looked black, or like I wish I looked like somebody else, because that's what's popular at the time.
I had double eyelids.
Whatever. And I think that's kind of the overcorrection stuff right now, right? Like you have too many of these different conversations going on where some people come from cultures that are colorist. Like they always are like, well, default, I'm dark, so I'm ugly. And I'll never be good looking, right? Where other cultures are trying to get a tan because they're like, that's what's hot.
Yeah, because I'm too washed out.
Right. So I mean, like, I don't think it's one conversation. It's like a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So you have some legit, some trying to break a barrier, and you have some that's just like ridiculous. And it's all being thrown into one thing.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what Joe said in the beginning, where it's like it's a work with what you got situation. You know what I mean? Like if it's a height thing, like yeah, be positive of what you got because you can't really change that. If it's a hair thing and your hair is naturally this, like of course you should totally embrace what is natural. If it's like a thing where that's not natural, the national average of obesity in America supersedes any other fucking nation in the whole planet.
UK's gaining on us. Yeah, I think UK's top dog right now.
Yeah, that's what confuses me. Because obesity is not natural. You have to work to become obese.
Yeah, like that should not be something that's super embraced, especially to a point where if you like comment on it in a seemingly like neutral manner and then you get shamed for it because you aren't like extremely like on one side of using the right syntax to describe what that is and love thyself type shit, then I think we're fucked as a society because we're also that same society that like is now hella profiting off of Ozempic. So it's like, what the fuck is the right? You know what I mean?
Right, that's true.
My favorite proponent of body positivity right now is that one chick that played rugby for the American team. You guys know what I'm talking about? So she's like pretty stocky, and I would say like in terms of the like what we find at like traditional beauty standards for a lady, like she is definitely outside of it. But she's a professional athlete, so she's not obese. She's not like unhealthy.
Right.
She's just who she is with God-given gifts, and if you ever see her play on the field, she just straight mauls people. But what I really love about her is she just embraced what she has. She knows she doesn't fit into the traditional norms, and to most people, she's way more on the masculine end. But on her IG page, she embraces her femininity like crazy.
Is it Alona Mar?
I forgot her name, but she always wears lipstick.
That one?
Yeah. And I think she's super dope because she doesn't even talk about body positive. She lives it. Like this is
an
what,
example.
yeah, I'm like 5'10", 200 pounds, broad shoulders, but I'm a woman and I embrace that woman side of me. I know I don't fit into normal beauty standards, but I'm gonna fucking crush it and I do whatever I like to do. Like I like wearing a dress as much as I like fucking knocking people the fuck out. And she just does both.
It's like Brianna of Tarth.
Let it
You know?
for itself.
Yeah, and she doesn't say anything about it. She just lives it. And so now, I think that's true representation, because then if you are like a stocky bitch, you're like, dude, she's fucking dope. I relate to her and she represents me, you know?
Yeah, like Brianna of Tarth.
Yeah. Like, she doesn't have to say shit.
Bart's motivational speeches.
Always like,
Whoa, we're back up. Whoa, turbulence. Did I hear that? Did I hear that right?
The 2009 housing bubble.
it's full of backhanded compliments, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should keep laughing.
Wait.